Hello and welcome. Tom and Esther here
Hello, hello.
for another wonderful healing corner. And tonight we're gonna talk about navigating the holidays. So are you excited, Tom?
Yeah, a little excited and just thinking about it makes you a little tired too, exhausted, right? So
Yes.
we'll make it lively and hopefully uplifting.
Yes, we'll do our best.
Yes.
Otherwise, you guys will have to uplift us. All right. So before we start, just a really quick introduction of who we are. A lot of you may have seen us already on these Healing Corner presentations. And just to really quick introduce ourselves, I'm Esther Levy, and I'm an emotional intelligence specialist. And I love, dealing with emotions and getting all that figured out, basically recognizing our level of crazy and then managing it. So that's my shtick in this world. What about you?
Well, my name's Tom, last name's Patullo. I'm an occupational therapist and an acupuncturist. And I've specialized in the treatment of inner ear disorders, vertigo, dizziness, balance problems for many years now. I don't even want to say how many years, but Esther and I have partnered up, and we have an amazing dynamic in our practice where we try to facilitate health.
Yeah, so we definitely have a lot of fun.
That's right.
All right, so we're gonna have a good time for this next hour together. And all right, here we go. Hold your steering wheel, because it's definitely gonna be a ride. Okay, here we go. Uh-oh, hang on. All right, here we go. So today's agenda, and as we call them questions, let's just say, how do you survive the family crazy during the holidays? That's a good one, right? How do you survive the holiday eats when trying to live a healthy lifestyle?
That's a tougher one.
That's a tougher one. And how do you use the holiday crazy as an opportunity for growth and transformation?
That's the optimal one.
Yes. All right. So as we know that EQ is one of those things that, we talk about, coming to the rescue, because, when you're really understand the power of this, which we're going to get into in a minute, you will really find how it works very, very powerfully. Want that?
Okay.
Okay. So, all right, so let's talk, we're going to call this the awareness diet. And this is something we've talked about before. And so let's talk about it in the sense that when you're dealing with the holidays, like we just said, and what's the first thing we want to do is we always want to identify the situation and how it's affecting you and others. So, AKA crazy, right? So we know that during the holiday season, there's always a lot of crazy going on in the world. And the first thing you want to do is you really just want to become aware of it. You want to become aware of your own, first of all. And then as you get better at doing it for yourself, you'll get better at doing it for others. The next thing you want to do is you want to make a decision. And that means making a decision to move towards desired results in the current situation. So we'll get more into that. But in this situation, what I'm saying is basically, making sure that you are always moving towards a solution-based outcome. Sorry, I like it over here because it helps me focus.
Very good. Sure.
Thank you.
Trying to let you read.
I know. Thank you.
So we have our own level of crazy.
Communicating what you need and what you want.
Trying to help someone and it not being interpreted as
And
help.
it backfires.
So, yes.
So here you always see it in action. Action, taking thoughtful actions towards your desired results, AKA ways to manage the crazy with the tools of EQ. And then number 4, being in gratitude, being grateful for the growth and transformation that is going to come from these situations. Because trust me, the universe is going to help you grow and transform, whether you like it or not. Wouldn't you say?
I agree.
So you might as well be proactive about it and just go willingly. Because if you're kicking and screaming and resisting it, it's not going to get any easier.
Yeah, what you resist persists.
Exactly.
So
All right. So here we go. So the heart and mind connection. So, you know, and Tom knows a lot about this because he is in Chinese medicine. And so let's read this quote as it says here. In Chinese medicine, the heart-mind connection is one of the most powerful influences on our physiology. Physiology, just in case somebody doesn't know what it means, is the body, the functions of the body. Because the heart pumps the blood and is responsible for the energy of joy and life. The heart keeps you alive and transfers experiences into the body, and it is responsible for your mental clarity and emotional balance. So this connection between the heart and the mind are very, very important. And this is the part that we really are going to now focus on for a minute here during, you know, we want to focus on this during the holiday season. So this gentleman right here, his name is Greg Brandon. He is an American new aged author of more than 20 books on science and spirituality. He's a very cool guy. And we've been listening to a lot of his YouTube channel, his YouTubes. And some of the stuff that we found is pretty profound.
mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the science of what we just talked about, the science of the heart and mind connection. Do you want to go into this or should I start?
You can go ahead.
Okay, so the heart is always speaking to the brain. Negative emotions, frustrations, fear, anger, chronic stress create havoc and chaotic chemistry in the body, meaning fight or flight responses, resulting in damage to the body if long-term exposure to this chemistry. So we know that if we're having fights with grandma and our children and our grandchildren and our parents, siblings, etc., the person at Publix, whatever, and we're going to stay in that, you know, negative energy throughout these holidays, we are really setting ourselves up for some negative stuff going on in the body during a time that's supposed to be peaceful, loving, you know, joyful. And so, you know, it's a very, very challenging thing to do, not to go there. And we're going to talk about how to avoid that. But we're just reminding ourselves that this is what happens when we stay negative and when we stay when we stay in the negative emotions.
Yeah, when we're in the fight or flight experience, you know, what's happening? We're producing lots of adrenaline. And adrenaline was not designed to be used that way on a long-term basis. It was designed to be for the fight or flight response. Our modern world brings us a lot more challenges, I believe. Well, different challenges, maybe not a lot more. It was very challenging to live many thousands of years ago and having to be afraid of a wild animal, you know, attacking you. So it's another level of challenge. But in essence, though, we're dealing with excess adrenaline, which is corrosive to the chemistry of the body, causing the liver to work extra hard to absorb all that excess adrenaline, just putting a lot of strain and stress. And most people would experience it as inflammation,
Yeah.
and discomfort and maybe stomach aches, headaches, muscle tension. Could lead to a lot of illnesses. People's immune system get weakened around this time of year. You know, we are in this period of time where we're approaching this flu season we talk about. So we want to keep our immune system strong.
Right.
So this is a way to just becoming aware of this is really important.
Exactly. Thank you. So the positive emotions like gratitude, appreciation, compassion, care, you know, sends positive signals to the brain to release the healing chemistry into our bodies. So that's good news, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least we have something working towards the productive nature of our bodies.
But
so thank God, but it's not easy to do sometimes.
I was going to say that's easier said than done.
Exactly.
I mean, we may need some EQ tools here, Esther.
Well, we're getting
there. How to get out of this fight or flight,
yes.
At least to become aware of it,
yes.
And then how to shift into a more, you know, serene, more calm state, a more positive, we call it positive emotions. I would just call it emotion and a heightened emotional awareness. So where we do have a gratitude and appreciation and things like that help our nervous system.
Yeah. So let's talk about, the other thing that science tells us is that they can measure the electric and magnetic fields of frequency of the heart-brain connection. And it's at 0.1 hertz. And that is similar to whales' communication.
Isn't that fascinating?
That's very fascinating.
Very intelligent species out
So
there.
I have an EQ tool here if you guys are open to it. Jump into the ocean and try to make some crazy random sounds.
I think you'd have to practice what is a 0.1 hertz sound.
Right.
If you can do a whale sound, I'd like you to demonstrate that, but I'm not sure I can't. I don't know what to do there.
Okay, exactly. So, I don't know if that will work, but maybe some of us can try that and see what happens. All right. So it's good to know that is something that these beautiful, beautiful animals, that's how they communicate, and that's what happens.
I find it fascinating that it's on that frequency.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I'm not a scientist of that nature, but that there is that they were able to measure this heart-brain communication, and it's on a similar frequency as what the whales use. That it's it seems to be an interesting coincidence.
Exactly. Okay, so how do you do it? Okay, this is the very important piece here. So feel free to, if you want, copy this slide if you want with your phone, or make a picture or whatever, but it's really not that complicated. So let's go through it, and you'll see it's not that hard. It's just sometimes it's not easy, but it's sometimes not that, it's not that hard to do. It's just not always easy to do, because when you're in the emotion and you're stressed or you're mad, it just feels very challenging to get this done. So, all right, step 1, shift the awareness from the brain to the heart. And it says here, touch the heart area with prayer hands near the sternum, and or tapping. So you can tap your heart, and the physical sensation brings awareness to the heart area. I see some people out there trying this. Very good. Join us. This would actually relax us now as we do this. So step 2, slow the breathing down. And slow breath usually means that you're in a safe space and environment. When we feel safe, we breathe slowly and deeply. So I don't know about you, but I'm feeling much better.
Yeah, I am too.
I might have to take a nap.
I was gonna say, I don't know if we're
you
gonna
guys might have to take over.
Somebody else might have to do the presentation. We're getting very, very relaxed over here.
Yeah, maybe Corinne or Claudia or Renee,
Rachel Rose.
Rachel, you guys can take over the presentation, because I'm about to fall asleep over here.
Right.
All right. And anybody watching us on Facebook, feel free to, let us know if you want to take over. All right. And then step 3, focusing on keywords with feeling and emotion, gratitude, appreciation, care, and compassion. And I know for me, when I'm upset, I definitely have a hard time coming up with these words. And let's say I'm upset with someone, I have a very hard time, seeing them in that kind of state, being grateful for them, or having appreciation, or having any care or compassion.
Is that what I see?
I almost feel like I want to throw something at them rather than, think these things. So it's very important to focus on these words. And as you're breathing and as you're tapping, it will help you reset. So touching, breathing, thinking positive thoughts will create the heart-brain frequency that will improve your physiological,
Physiological, easy
thank
for you
you,
to say.
exactly. That's why there's two of us. Responses, so hormonal, immune, and anti-aging. So I feel good. I feel much, much better. How do you feel?
Much better.
Much better. So let's keep going. All right. So let's get into this, huh? Now that we have the tools and now that we have somewhat of some ideas on how to stay calm in terms of with our emotions and stuff, let's get into the more ideas of how to survive the family crazy during the holidays. You excited?
Mhm.
All right. Welcome, Stephen. Nice to see you. All right. So here's some ideas. Focus on finding the positive to keep your physiology in a balanced state. Remember the science behind the heart-mind connection. So exactly what we just talked about, really staying focused that, man, I got to really focus on this connection, because if I'm going to let my negative thoughts take a hold of me, I'm going to be going the opposite direction in my body. Okay, so I'm going to work really hard to go the other way. I'm going to really try to stay focused on my positive, and so that I can be a whale, right? So I can communicate like a whale, so I can be free and just
Swim through the ocean.
Swim to the ocean. All right. Plan ahead. Meals, activities, supplies, etc. Planning has always been great. Now, there is such a thing about being spontaneous, right, to some degree. And we learned that on our last vacation, or on our last little staycation, which was, we stayed in the state. But we learned that planning a little bit, just enough, like the hotel room, that type of stuff, right? You have to plan where you're going. You have to plan where you're going to stay, that kind of stuff. And then the rest of it, really go with the flow if you can, if that makes you feel better. Or you can also plan activities, because sometimes now, especially with what's happening in the world today, you definitely have to plan ahead certain activities, and that will help with the stress. Like recently we went to Orlando, and we did not know that when you go to Disney now, or Epcot, some of the parks, you have to reserve a spot, because now they're maxing out on how many people they're letting in at one time. So we didn't know that. So we ended up not being able to get in that weekend. We were able to find another park to go to, but if we would have known that ahead of time, we would have planned accordingly. So planning ahead is important.
Well, we tried planning ahead, but we couldn't make a decision, could we?
We did not.
And
Correct.
we were frustrated with the process.
That's
of planning
right.
ahead.
That's
so you see,
right.
there's multiple factors going on
That's
here.
right.
So planning ahead is just, again, if I can interject, this is being real.
Yes.
We did, and
right.
and between the two of us, our lives bring many challenges, so we're busy with other things, and so sometimes things do fall to the wayside. So you just pick yourself back up, get back on track, try to find that heart-mind connection, and just go ahead and make the best of it.
Exactly.
Instead of just wallowing in, wow, it's terrible.
Right.
Because we can get stuck on that. The negative,
of course,
we just learned, will only feed these other emotions. The fight or flight syndrome, cause irritation, anger, upset, and lead to more discord.
Of course.
So, do your best, but I would just keep surrendering it.
Right. Find activities to do together. So games, events, local sites, etc. I love playing games with the family. I think it's so much fun, and it kind of removes the mundane and the same old. So, finding games to play and activities to do, and, it's always brings a little bit more joy and happiness to everybody. And, try to speak with the family about, what kind of activities they would like. So, really including everyone and making sure that everyone gets to share in the joy of the games and the activities and the whatevers.
I think this has been a very powerful tool we use over Thanksgiving.
Right.
And we were at a group event, which was a meetup. And we, we brought some physical games to play because it was outdoors. And then later on that night, we had some question games that we played. It was about getting to know strangers.
Right. We're not strangers anymore.
Or we're not strangers anymore is the name of that game.
Something like that.
Yes, which I think I noticed that a lot of people are very interested when we ask these deeper questions.
Right.
But we've got to kind of plan for those. And you know, maybe some people initially might be a little awkward trying to participate, but we notice that most people really then get into it.
Right.
They love to then talk about and think about these deeper feelings.
Right.
So yeah, come up with creative things. Maybe it's creating a project, maybe doing an activity together where you all make something, an artwork class, or you know, a project where you're doing something. But whatever it is, I think finding those other activities to do bring more joy, more gratitude, more interaction, more intimacy.
And then honor your own feelings without harm to others. So, you know, I would say that, you know, we're all going to have some feeling at some point. You know, nobody doesn't have feelings. If you're human, you have feelings, you have emotions. And so, you know, honor how you feel. Maybe you're feeling not well one day and you don't want to be with the family, or you don't want to be with the friends, or you just want to be by yourself. So honor that, but just be honest about it. Be honest about it. Share honestly what's going on for you. And that's it. You don't need to overstress about it. Just be real about what's going on for you, and you know, just move on.
People respond well to authenticity.
Right. And also just to say that, let's say, you know, because sometimes people are, they don't have a lot of friends or family during this time, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we continue in the slides. But you know, this is also a time for introspection. If you don't have, you know, family, or you're more of an introvert and you just love being by yourself, like I love being by myself sometimes, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. So, you know, these kinds of activities are also, these ideas can also work for you. So don't stress that you have to be a person who's like, you know, I have so many friends and I have so many family, but what if I don't, you know? And that's okay. There's no judgment. There's no good or bad. You can apply this to whatever is your circumstance. Would you agree?
I think so.
All right. So how to survive the holiday eats. When trying to stay or trying to live a healthy lifestyle. And this is something that, you know, I know a lot of us that, you know, want to stay healthy all the time. You know, the holidays don't make it easier. You know, it's like, now it's like, oh God, it's like, now it's like the smorgasbord. I hope I said that right. The smorgasbord. This is a fun word to say. The smorgasbord of food and sweets and all the yummies that you could possibly think of. And of course, most of them are the troublemakers that we've talked about before. So, but let's get into it and let's talk about it. All right. So here's some ideas. So speak to the host to identify the theme of the meal if planning on attending an event. So some people may feel like, no, you know, I'm not going to call the host and like talk to them and ask them, well, what kind of meal are you having? What are you doing? That's like inappropriate, or that's rude, or no, it's not, because it's very proactive actually. So that when you get there, you don't, you know, now the host is expecting you to eat and have a good time. And you're like, no, I don't eat that. No, I don't eat that. No, I don't eat that. And then now you're just looking like a schmuck, right? So just be honest, call the host and just be straight up about it. Look, you know, I have certain allergies or I have certain food restrictions. I just want to find out what's going on.
And then see what you can contribute too.
That's number 2.
Okay. Wow. Sorry. Jumped ahead.
Yes. So number 2, plan ahead and bring your own dish to enjoy and share if your type of food isn't available. So
I've noticed for us that when we do prepare some of these meals that kind of avoid some of the troublemakers, and we go to that, you know, we go to that extra mile to create a more delicious version of it, that most people really enjoy those things. You know, ultimately, you know, some really good steamed vegetables, some, you know, certain roasted potatoes and things that are just, you know, now we're in the pumpkin season, so we can even do things with some pumpkins. So all these things are available to us, and There's lots of ways to be creative,
Yeah.
to contribute to helping others also feel good and be healthy.
Right. So be creative in your dishes so that you can enjoy a holiday themed meal too. So, just like Tom was saying, there's so many things to do. I mean, Tom's son made, every year they make a pumpkin pie. It was delish. And
From a fresh pumpkin.
from a fresh pumpkin with coconut cream, I think it is, right? Gluten-free crust. So it's very delicious. And, obviously there are certain things when you are eating certain plant-based, like sometimes it is still a little bit fatty. So you want to be careful not to go crazy there too. But the point is there's lots to enjoy and there's lots of ways to be creative so that you can enjoy the holidays also. And then number 4, if you are going to have troublemaker foods, so, Tom and I always say we're not Puritans, we're about 90-10 plant-based.
Sometimes 80-20.
80-20.
At these holiday events.
Exactly, it just depends.
Because yes, you're not going to always know what's in all the foods.
Right.
So
so if you are going to have some troublemaker foods, make sure that you incorporate lots of superfoods, fruits and vegetables. You want to really, up the greens. You want to do as much as you can to incorporate the good stuff, and if you want to know about the troublemaker foods, you can always go back to our presentations that we did about the part 1 through 3 about the health series that we did. And that really gives you a great detailed, short and sweet presentation on all of that kind of stuff that we talked about.
Yeah, well, before you leave this slide, Esther,
Mhm.
for number 4, something even my son, who's now been living with us, is discovered some really interesting ways to help himself stay on track. He's mentioned that if you go to an event or something, try to pick like eating some fruits maybe before the meal. Fill
Sure.
up on some of the healthier items first.
Mhm.
So this way you're not as hungry, and when you do get to some foods that may be more that include some of the troublemakers, you won't maybe eat as much of it.
Right.
You'll be more satisfied and know how to recognize and be able to taste and enjoy without having to feel the consequences of it afterwards.
Exactly. It's kind of like a mini fast, but it's not really a fast because fruits are excellent for us. They give us the glucose that we need to survive and to thrive. So it's not really a fast. You're actually cleaning out your body and you're doing amazing things.
Yeah, I would say that would fill you, the good fruit sugars and fruits will help you feel satisfied. You won't have that hunger for some of the really yummy stuff, that's full of fats and salts and troublemakers that you might be paying for the next few days.
Exactly. All right. So,
turn down the air conditioner.
sure. So number 3 is how to use the holiday crazy as an opportunity for growth and transformation. And so, this piece is, very, very important because this is, really why we are all here on this earth, is to really grow and transform. And so it's a very important section here to really understand, why are we even bothering to do all this crazy stuff? You know what I mean? Like, let's just eat and enjoy and indulge and just be bratty and just do whatever we want, right? But unfortunately, that's not really what the bigger plan had in store for us. So we kind of have to know that we are here to grow and transform. All right, so here are some ideas. So be aware that this time for transformation, be aware that this is a time for transformation. And you may have your feathers ruffled unless you choose to grow and learn from it. So, we're all going to be pushed. We're all going to be, nudged. And so it's very important to just learn to just go with it. Learn to surrender to the pushing, to the growth, to the whatever it is that's trying to come in and teach us whatever lesson it's trying to teach us. Number 2, identify tools that can help support you during this challenging time. Meditation, spiritual learning, physical activity, support from mentors, friends, family, etc.
Talk to your angels. Ask for
whatever,
guidance.
whatever it takes,
Whatever it takes.
whatever it takes, do, just reach out and find those tools, whatever works for you, to support you. Number 3, trust that you are not the only one dealing with these triggers during this time. And, like I said, we're no one on this planet is exempt from growth or transformation. If you are here on this planet, you are going to be pushed to grow and transform. And so, don't ever feel like, oh, I'm the only one that has all these problems. I'm the only one that is alone. I'm the only one that feels triggered. You're not. Trust me, you're not. And if you really put yourself out there and ask around, you will, even strangers, if you ask strangers, they will tell you that, yeah, I feel the same way, and maybe you can make a new friend out of it. So just trust that you're not the only one. And number 4, finding ways to give back and contribute. Being in service will help eliminate emotional, mental, and overall distress. So, I think this is one of the most important pieces that I have leaned on over my life, because when I was in very hard situations, I always just try to always end up in service somehow. I thrive on being in service. And sometimes it's not easy because you are frustrated with someone or something or whatever, but just reconnecting back to the energy of service and contribution has always led me back to joy and peace in my own heart. Maybe the people that I was helping didn't appreciate it, but for me, that's what brought me back to my sanity. And so it just kind of gave me peace that I could go back to that. It was like my happy place. It's like my safety place. So, maybe, there's lots of places to contribute. There's lots of places to serve. And even the people in our lives, if you're able to, it's not always easy with family, but if you're able to even bring them a glass of water, or even if it's running to the store for them, or just even little mundane tasks, it could really help.
Yeah, for me, looking back many years ago, studying the work of Satya Sai Baba, something stuck with me that really hit home for me. And one of his major teachings was that service is the highest form of worship. So, I know here at TAO, we love the part of worshiping. I think that brings us to our heart, brings us to our, connects our mind and body, and that's super powerful. But when we're not in the middle of something like that, that's so supportive and so helps us along, I think when I get into a troubling situation or a difficult situation, I always try to think about, okay, what can I do to be in service here? What can I do to help? And that remembering that is really the highest form of worship.
Yeah.
That act.
So just a gentle reminder, see others as souls doing their best. I know that's not always easy.
But I think that's what everybody is actually doing most of the time. They're just doing their best.
They're just doing their best. Take responsibility on how we think, feel, and behave.
Tough one to do, but
Tough one to do.
become aware, and that'll help.
Analyzing or judging others is an expression of our own needs and values. So this one is a very interesting one in the sense that, it's basically like what we see and interpret is what we think other people are doing. So for example, let's say you see someone as like overly critical and detail oriented, right? So they may seem to you as someone who's just like, they're just overly critical. They're just being overly critical. But really is that you don't really care about details. You're just a person who doesn't care about details. So to you, they seem overly critical. So
maybe you would look at them as, instead of saying overly critical, you might say, oh, that person really has an affinity to lots of details.
exactly.
And that's their way of being in service. And
Yes.
giving.
And use their power, use their, I would say, superpower, like as if they were a superhero. Use that superpower to help you. So like, let's say you're working with this person, or let's say you live with this person and they're super critical. Like I said, they're critical and they're picking on details. Use that superpower to grow and to become your best self, because they're there to help point that out, most likely because they care so much. They're trying to point out these details to you. So, it's just to remind us that, we're all different and we all have these beautiful superpowers, and we just have to learn to use them effectively to help each other and ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Using language that is empowering versus blocking compassion, moral judgment, use of comparison, making demands, blaming others, and coercion of beliefs. So, we really want to be empowering to everyone and each other, like, hey, you're really good at that, or like, for example, I spoke to a patient today, and she has her hands full, with her husband, who is hard of hearing. And she was very firm and very demanding on the phone when she initially called to make the appointments. And at first I was like, whoa, take it easy, lady. Like, she was just very intense. And then but then eventually, as I continue to speak to her, I realized she just has a lot going on. She has a lot on her plate, and she's just trying to handle and manage all these things. And when she came in, I got to meet her, and I really got to see firsthand what she has to deal with. And it's a lot. And so today when I spoke to her, I kind of said some nice things to her. I said, you know what? She said, it was so nice, meeting you, and thank you for everything you guys do. And thank you so much for everything. I said, listen, I said, you know what? You have your hands full, and I can see that you're really doing your best, and just keep going. And she really appreciated that. She was like, yeah, it's a lot. And you could just feel her, like, her intent, her emotion, and how she just appreciated me acknowledging her, that she has so much on her plate. And that's it. You know what I mean? It just takes a minute. And I can't always do it. I'm not perfect. I can't always do it. But in that moment I could. And so it was very, very empowering to her and to me, because I was able to do it.
Yeah, it's that, like, we're this thing about judgment. We're always, it's hard not to judge. I think we have to kind of become aware and conscious of it, versus just observing that, hey, somebody may be struggling, instead of seeing them as aggressive and or too demanding, and being, like, not being nice, or so, whatever you might want to say. But maybe we say, oh, this person might be in some sort of overwhelm.
Right.
Why don't we be the energy that steps back? Remember, our heart-brain connection, our heart will actually emit energy out. So if we can shift, we might even see a shift in the world around us.
Right.
So it's a difficult one, as we acknowledge, but I think the practice is what will help us get there.
I always joke and say, Thomas, I'm not as evolved as you. So
No.
I'm working on it.
You're more evolved than me.
No.
That's what it is.
So
Much more.
So I bow to you,
well,
and I will
think-
continue to practice. But I'm very honest
well,
about.
I know you're doing your best, Destiny.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. So focus more on our personal feelings and needs versus looking outside ourselves. And so again, this is one of those challenging ones that you want to be like, you stupid, whatever, or you drive me nuts, or you gotta, blah, blah, blah. But
I was hoping I didn't have to bleep you out here if we were going to keep going here.
Right? So it's very important to really focus on our personal feelings and needs, and just be straight up about what you need, right? Be direct about what you need
without blaming or making demands, or just being aggressive, trying to find that way to communicate with love and compassion.
Right. Okay, so we're doing great on time, which is awesome. And we're gonna have, some time for questions or comments if anybody has any. We have 15 minutes here. So just a couple of things here. If you have questions or need help with inner ear or pain management, we do have our clinic, Florida Balance Centers. You're welcome to call us. The number is there, and we're always here to support you. You can always visit our YouTube channel. We have 2 channels, one for our Woozy and one for the EQ piece. So you're welcome to check it out. It's on our Woozy website.
Yeah, it would be Woozy, spelled W-U-Z-I, Vertigo, one word, Vertigo.com.
Yeah.
That's where you'd find that.
Or you can always go to Florida Balance Centers, and Woozy is right there.
It's actually balancecenters.com.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to know those
but
websites.
they can also find it through the Florida Balance Centers.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I didn't think we were going to finish so quickly, but we did such a great job with time. So it's exciting because now we can open up for comments and questions. So lay it on us.
I want to acknowledge Esther for such a great job with this slide presentation, Esther. That was very, very beautiful, very efficient. I think you did a great job. That's probably why we're done so early.
Yeah.
You did too good of a job. With
Yeah,
your slide
too good of a
presentation.
job, but it's good. It's good. Hi, Claudia. Everybody, it's good to see everybody's beautiful faces. So feel free to share your thoughts, or if you have questions.
What are you guys going through for the holidays?
Yeah,
What we can hear from
exactly.
you and
Yeah,
some of your
share with us.
struggles. And
Yeah.
It was Besheret that I joined this session because you mentioned, it's okay to be alone. And when I see large families who seem to be having a perfectly magical time, I instantly go to the pity pot. And your statement that it's okay to be alone was a tonic. And also, you mentioned doing your best. I was often challenged in school and day camp when I would say, this is the best I can do. And the teacher or counselor would say, that's not the best you can do. You can do better than that. So I don't always know the difference between doing my best and trying to do something perfectly.
So do you want us to kind of speak on that? Do you want us to give you some feedback on that?
Yes, about the doing your best issue.
Yeah, so I can understand where your teachers are coming from. First, I want to acknowledge you about your first comment about being alone. I think it's very courageous of you to say that and to acknowledge that. I think there's a lot of people in the world today that may feel alone especially with what's going on in the world today. And I will say that it's a great time to really work on your own personal reflection and your growth, and continue doing what you're doing and feeling like it is okay. It is totally okay. If that's what you want to do, great. If it's something you want to improve on and you don't want to be alone, let's say you want to be out with other people, that's possible too. And so everything is possible as long as we are making effort to create that for ourselves. So I just want to acknowledge you, Stephen, for saying that. Number 2 is, I will say that I can understand where your teachers are coming from in terms of you can do better than that, because I think where they're coming from is a place of encouragement. They're not necessarily coming from a place of like making you feel bad and wrong. I think they really just, they believe in you and they see something bigger in you and they see potential. And so a teacher, a good teacher, is always going to push you to go to that extra mile, make that extra step. And I will tell you that, meeting Tom and working with Tom is a very high expectation individual. And thank God that I have a level of that when I came here, it helped me go to my next level, because I'm also a recovering perfectionist. So him being high expectation made me work on my high expectation. And sometimes together it's either, a serious dysfunction or
a major victory.
or a major victory. So, so I will say that, always keep striving for better, because that's what, God wants for us. That's what the universe wants for us. And that's what our soul wants for us. So always strive to do better. But you can only do your best at the moment. So if you're striving for your best, and that is what you can do, then you did the best you could. But in the intention, it should always be to do better, so that you can be the best you can be. Make sense?
Yeah, it clarifies it somewhat, do your best at the moment.
Right.
But I'm also remembering things like the SAT back in my senior year in high school, and I did poorly because I didn't want to take the test. I resented being forced to take a one-size-fits-all test that was like a 3-hour test, and how could I do better on that if I didn't enjoy doing it?
Sure. I agree with you. I don't think I enjoyed it either. I hated school when I was young. I couldn't stand it. I love learning now more than ever. But when I was in school, I couldn't stand it. So I'm with you. But, I think we can only do what we can do today, because you're here now. And I think you're an amazing man. You do certain things with the dates. I remember you do certain things with the dates, and not everybody can do that. And so you have certain superpowers that, the rest of us don't. And so, anchor on that, anchor on the power that you have, and just work on being the best that you can be every day.
What I have. Yeah, that's the nice thing about learning as an adult. You can learn what you want when you want to learn it, rather than learning something that's crammed down your throat when you're in school.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, it makes me feel, Stephen, like you're really embracing your path, and I think you should I acknowledge you for that you've stood up for that all these years. So you sound very powerful in that way, as much as that's brought you maybe some challenges and hardships, but I like that you've really like embraced it, and now you use that power, use like Esther said, every one of us has our own things we bring, that we're powerful, and we don't have to fit in a particular mold. I think we're learning maybe more of that as time is going on. So you're actually kind of a leader. I think school now, we're starting to question, what is school really now? Is it social engineering? Is it just putting kids in a box, making them fit into certain molds so they can work in a corporation? Is that really maybe not for everybody? I'm not saying it's bad, it's wrong, or it's good, but I like that you're thinking outside the box.
Right, and I realize now that college doesn't always prepare you for a career. Didn't prepare Albert Einstein for a career.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So, different strokes for different folks. And I think the world is going through a major transition, major transformation. And there's a lot of things that are being uncovered. And, we're learning one day at a time. And, we're all just doing the best we can. What can we do? So thank you, Stephen. Thank you for all those beautiful questions and comments.
You're welcome.
Who else?
What do y'all think the most common annoyance is at the holiday time? Like, what is most commonly dreaded and aggravating people during this time? The traffic, the company, the food, just out of curiosity.
I'm gonna say the first couple that comes to mind is, I would say, the hustle and bustle. It's like, we're so programmed to, oh my God, it's the holidays, all the gifts. We gotta buy all the gifts, gotta go shopping. Oh my God, I gotta get everything fit in. I gotta make sure, everything's done. Everybody gets their gift, and I don't forget anybody. Blah, blah, blah. So you have now work, stress, the normal stresses of life. Now you have to make sure you get everybody the gifts. Some people go into debt, which is very stressful. So I think that's another stressor is, oh my God, I'm going to go into debt. And we have patients that sometimes don't even want to come for treatment because they are, oh my God, it's the holidays. I can't come for treatment. I'm suffering, but I can't come for treatment because the holidays are coming and I need to buy the kids gifts, So that type of stuff. I will also say being around family. I think that's a very big stressor because family brings up a lot of emotional trauma, because family is one of the biggest areas we are, where we grow. Our buttons get pushed by our families. So spending time with family is another one.
Yeah, maybe trying to get, like you were describing, we're kind of being, maybe there's some we gotta be careful not to be brainwashed by all the assumptions and all the marketing, all that's going on right now. You feel the thing of Black Friday, and Cyber Monday, and there's like all these marketing ploys. Well, maybe we can kind of step away. Esther's taught me this, is I really learned to move away from commercial television at all, because it can get a little overwhelming, and it's subconscious sometimes. So try to find some peaceful environments, because like Esther's saying, it's the end of the year. You got to get things done for your businesses, for your employment, your family events and all these things. So take some time for yourself and just get into nature and try to find some of these spiritual and peaceful environments to be in, at least to regroup, so you don't get caught up into that tension. Because I think, as Renee is asking, for me, it becomes like if we're not aware of it, we're building tension in our body, and we're running to the next thing and the next thing. Before you know it, we're lashing out at someone, we're angry, we get in a fight with a family member or a friend, and we're not sure why, we don't know why it's happening. So if we can kind of step out of it for a minute and kind of catch it, find some other activities that bring you some peace and harmony, and let go of it, and know that you don't have to fit into the box,
right?
That's of expectations. You can find other creative ways to have it fun. And
then we're in the fight or flight. Then we're now in a heart-mind connection, as we've lost it. We've lost it because, or we didn't lose it. We're in it, but we're in the wrong pocket. We're in the pocket of the negative emotions, and now we're creating distress in the body. So now, on top of all the stress, now we feel like crap.
Right. So just think of being a whale again in the ocean. You're swimming free. There's no boundaries. You've got this huge ocean, and you can just swim through it.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's no ships or
sharks
or other predators, human predators.
Right.
But outside of that,
And I think something beautiful that we kind of forget that we can go back to is making personal gifts, is just making stuff like, baking something or making something, or
writing a nice note to someone.
A couple months ago, I had this thought. We went to this random concert, and it was a spiritual concert. And out of that concert, I got the idea to truly write down a message to all the people that matter to me, how I felt about them, instead of waiting till it was too late to tell them. And so I wrote them each a letter, and I framed it. And I went to the dollar store. I bought these very inexpensive dollar frames, and I gave it to each one of them. And they were very grateful. And it was not easy for me to do, because it required me to be vulnerable. And so that was a big growth for me, to be that vulnerable with family, because family, again, is not the easiest place to be vulnerable. And it was a beautiful sentiment for them, and for me. So I think that's also remembering we can make stuff.
Yeah, and Esther did a very special thing over Thanksgiving. We were looking to do something different this year, because the same old, grouping, trying to get everybody in a house and trying to do all that stuff. But she went outside the box, and she found a meetup, and it happened to be plant-based, and everybody brought a dish. And it was really, I thought, wow.
It was outside. It was more a calming museum.
Right. It was in a garden. We're outdoors, and it was about 50 people there, I'd say.
A lot of people.
It was quite a few, but it was so spread out. It felt so comfortable,
Yeah,
and it
very
was
nice.
just outside the norm, you
Right.
know. And we invited then, because then you have the struggle of families, who's going to come and who's going to do this and who's going to bring this and who's going to bring that. So we made an open invitation. People want to come to this, come to this. If you don't have to.
Right.
And then it worked out really, I think, beautifully,
Right.
where it was something atypical that I've never done before.
Yeah.
So that was a way you used the tool to look for something different to
Right.
do that
Right.
maybe brings a new awareness for how we can celebrate together a holiday, even with strangers.
Mhm.
So I thought that was
Yeah, we
very
got to meet
powerful.
new friends. They played some of our games that we brought. It was
Yes.
fun.
Yeah. Hopefully that answered your question, Renee. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So who else? Well, what do you think? What do you think is the common theme, Renee? Like really quickly, what do you think is
I think that just the idea of added anything, whether it's traffic, family, food, special needs, whatever it is, that in itself is like just people who are at the point of that one thing that's going to tip them over, that it doesn't matter which category it falls in, that it's just this is the time when we have to do this, you know? And for me, I know that's the case, that I think, okay, I have all these things on my list to do today. And now, in addition, I need to do this. And even sometimes, you know what, we don't think about it could be a pleasurable thing. Oh, I have to go to this holiday party. And, you know, oh, I should be happy. I'm getting out, I'm seeing people. But it's like, that just adds another thing to my plate. I
Yeah.
don't even have to do anything except show up, but that's just the thing that tips it over. And you know, what y'all were saying earlier about the I admired what you said about calling ahead about the food and offering to bring. And anybody that knows me knows that like I do that all the time. And people often say to me, you know, I know you have special needs, what can I make you? And I never ever ask them to make me anything. People offer all the time, because if they do and it's something I don't like, forget that I can eat it, but it's something that I just don't want to eat or don't
Right.
like, that it's embarrassing when you sit there and you go, oh God, put it on your plate, move it around with your fork a little, you know, maybe bring it to your mouth. But anytime I'm going somewhere for Shabbat dinner Friday night, and basically without me saying anything, this person said, "This is the menu. Is there anything you can eat? And if not, you can bring salmon for yourself." You know,
awesome?
so
See, that's
Right.
awesome. Yes, exactly.
like, you know, people get, they understand. I used to feel self-conscious about it, but I think most people, like you said, want you to come and be a part of it and eat and enjoy. And so I don't think they want you to feel uncomfortable or that you can't partake. I think everybody, you know, everybody does. And my big joke is I drink red wine. So I say, as long as you have red wine, then I'll be okay. You know, like it doesn't matter. But I think that's such an important thing, and people are so embarrassed to do that, to ask. They don't realize that and you know, I think it should just become habit to call and ask. I don't think it's offensive or insulting,
Yeah,
like you
and
said.
I think it actually will alleviate pressure from the
Yeah.
host. If you
Yeah.
say, you know what, I'll bring my own food. Is that okay?
Or
Right.
bring a plate to share.
Yeah,
you know,
I'll bring a
something.
plate to share. Is that cool? And if they were, I would think they would be like, yes, oh my God,
Yes.
for sure. You know,
Yeah.
I know I
And-
would. I'd be like, hell yes.
Well,
And Tom, what you said about, you know, bringing for people to share, I always find that when I bring for people to share, that they'll end up eating more of it than I
Yes.
ever will, because they're like, wow, you know, how'd you do this? How did you make this? And it still tastes good. And it, you know, oh, I made a pumpkin pie for my daughter. I don't eat pumpkin. I'm allergic to gourds, but I made a pumpkin pie also with coconut milk. But for my crust, I wanted to do something healthy. So I did oatmeal. So I took oatmeal and mixed it with cinnamon and a little
Nice.
truvia, and then baked it, and it made a beautiful crust
Oh,
underneath.
wow.
Yeah, so it was just, well, people put this on top of like apples and things. Why not try it as the crust and bake that first? So, I think sometimes you just have to think
Yes.
what, that's all
Be
it amounts
creative.
to.
And be
Just
willing
be
to share
creative.
like that.
Yes.
Yes, you'll be pleasantly
Yes.
surprised how receptive people are.
Yes. And I think, you know what, I think what you were saying about, because I want to make a comment on this, is what you were saying regarding that one more thing on your list. And that's how I felt during Thanksgiving. I felt like, oh my God, I can't. First of all, I'm bored out of my mind doing it at the house. That's number one. And number two, I can't plan any other thing. I'm done. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go on Meetup and I'm going to find something interesting. And if there is, great. And if there isn't, I'm not going to stress about it because, it's just not worth it. It's not worth the stress and all these other things that we create in our minds. So do what you can. That's it.
And I think your intention will bring you to the right place. So if you
Exactly.
have this intention,
Because everything's
it'll
energy.
it'll carry you
Everything's
there.
energy.
it'll
So
carry,
it
it'll
will,
reveal.
yes, it'll reveal itself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Very good. How did we do?
Anyone else?
Are we okay? Oh, we're early.
Oh, Rachel, I think Rachel. Hi, Rachel.
Hi there. One of the things that I've been telling people, there's so many people that are all caught up and worry and blah, 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 blah. And I'm constantly telling people, you can't worry about what's tomorrow. You're not enjoying today. So I keep telling people, just enjoy the moment and don't stress over what might happen because you don't know what's going to happen 5 minutes from now, let alone 5 days, 5 weeks. So why don't enjoy it? So that's what I tell people. And I basically do the same myself. And of course, I'm always bringing food.
You're always what?
I'm always bringing food everywhere I go. So
Oh, food. Yes. We have some static on our end, so it's hard to hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Being present is not an easy thing. I'll be honest with you. I constantly work on it. But I think it's an excellent mantra. And I think it's excellent to just keep working on it. And this heart-mind connection thing really taught me to remember to stay calm, and that breathing thing that we did, I'm going to really work on that, because just that simple step and process really helps to just,
Bring you back to the moment.
Yeah, let's just calm it down, just whatever's going on, everyone's doing their best, yeah, that's all we can do. So I think it's a great reminder. Thank you.
you gave a beautiful presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I always like listening to you. I just miss seeing you. I haven't seen you in a long time.
Yes, thank you.
But I had, for my holiday, I went to a friend's house for Thanksgiving. And she had music and we danced and sang.
Nice.
For Hanukkah, I went Sunday night and got to see Renee in person finally.
Good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
nice.
we're sorry we couldn't make that.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yes.
Yeah, and the rest of the holiday, I don't know, but I am going to New Jersey in January, which I'm not thrilled about going to New Jersey in January, but my granddaughter is getting married, so
Nice.
Oh, Mazel Tov. That sounds beautiful.
Mazel tov. Yeah, congratulations.
January 13th. So I'm going to be up there in the cold weather, and God willing, it won't snow. So
Yes.
somewhere.
Well, even if it does snow, Rachel, it's new. You're a Floridian. I'd look at that as a fun experience. But you're only going to be there temporarily, right? So
Yeah.
just
6
yes.
days. 6 days are enough. But it'll be nice to be with my family.
Yeah.
But also the whole family dynamic, because I've always been the black sheep in the family. And I have several family members that do not like me. They have no idea what I'm about. They never spend time with me and they don't like me. So they're very cold. And I just have to go with the flow and be there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember the mind, the heart mind connection, and just, focus on what you can do to just have a good time. And
I know they're doing, they're doing their best. They're
They're
doing their best. They're just lost.
yeah. And
with what
try, I would say, because we all have those people, right? We all have those people that don't like us or whatever,
judge.
judge us, whatever. And you know what I'm finding is that everyone has a superpower. And I'm going to just try to focus on what is their superpower. And I'm not going to give any other energy to anything else. Like if they don't talk to me, no problem.
Right.
If they don't like me, okay, that's fine. And just give energy to the people that do care and do want your energy, right? Because what else can you do? And then that's it.
Yeah,
you know?
we say that, when people are like we get upset about someone, it usually doesn't affect them, it's affecting you, So as we talked about earlier in the slide presentation, if we're in these dark emotions or these negative emotions, it's affecting our physiology. So better for us to try to find a way to find something positive that we can focus on, as you're saying.
Yeah. And again, it's not easy because this brings up something for me that happened this week or actually this morning. And I made the comment of, you know what? The fact that I'm not upset with you shows that I'm working on my stuff, because I could be upset with you. So I was really like acknowledging myself that I could have taken it a whole other direction, but I'm not. And that is the work I'm doing. And so I really just acknowledged myself for maybe I can't do it, this way, but I'm doing it this way. And for me, that's growth. And that's important to acknowledge about yourself,
Yeah. Well, the best part of it is I'm going to be with my son, Gary. I haven't seen him in 2 years. And I stay at his house and he's a lot of fun. So that's why I'm staying extra days, just to be with him.
Nice.
That's very nice.
That's very good. Thank you
blessings.
for sharing,
That's
Rachel.
great.
Congratulations. So how we doing, Renee? Do we have time for one more or?
Yeah, and picking up on what you said about your progress, which I congratulate you on today, that's the other thing that happens, that if we are angry with a person and then we react in a way that we feel we were either too nice or too kind about it and we didn't say what we want, then it results in our being angry with ourselves. And so it ends up like a double-edged sword to our own personas, because we're acting this way and we don't always realize that. But by compromising what we need and what we feel, we often hurt ourselves more than if we had just been honest and spoken out and said what we had to say and then put an end to it. That would have been the end to it.
Right.
Mhm.
And I know it's not an easy thing to do. I mean, it's interesting. I've always been a very direct person, like more towards in my adult life. And when I was younger, I was very shy. It's hard to believe. I was very shy and I didn't talk much and I just kept to myself. But as I got older and life, I was tested and life kept making me need to speak up, because at work and life and, and I've always been a very direct person. And so some people don't like that. Some people can't handle directness. And so they would take it some kind of way, but I thought I was being very compassionate because I'm being direct. I don't mince words. I don't, what you hear is what you hear, and that's it. Now, how can we find a solution and how can we create win-wins? So my heart was always in the right place. And I think that's where, if your heart is always in the right place, then I think speaking directly, as long as obviously you're not blaming anyone, I think is very powerful. And I think we all need to do more of that so that we can just not waste time in the communication. Just say what you have to say and just let's get on with it. Let's find the win-wins,
Well, I think that's part of like maybe the EQ tools you try to teach with, awareness, because first comes, where are we with our intention?
Right.
And we're aware of our intention. And we're aware of our intention, then we can have thoughts that will that will follow the intention, and thoughts become then action, and all this energy turns into a communication with those others around us. But we're not always aware of our intention.
Right.
We're not always
Well,
aware of
We're not?
not typically. Maybe not, but
I am,
always.
always.
Okay.
Always.
So I'm not.
So, okay,
So
so that's where
so
where I bow to you,
No,
and you can bow to me.
Yes.
Because I think we're all, our superpowers are all different. And
Yeah.
my superpowers, I'm very aware
Yeah,
of my
because I've got to check
intentions.
in for my intention. Like, what's my intention here? Am I
Yeah.
trying to get something here? Am I trying to manipulate a situation? Or am I, am I coming from a place of, okay, what's possible?
Right,
So
Right,
I'm just, saying just the awareness part, it seems for me to go back to that.
sure.
And then what comes next usually is easier.
Sure.
It flows easier.
Sure, sure.
And also, I think it's important to use I statements. Whenever I've done therapy with couples or teenagers, people can't argue with you when you use I statements. I feel this way. I am hurt. I prefer that you do this. I prefer that you not do that because it hurts me. That as long as you're not pointing the finger and turning it around, and we have a big tendency to do that,
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
say, you make me angry, you make me feel hurt. No, no one isn't. It's I feel hurt when you behave this way or
Right.
do this to me. And we have to be very clear, especially during this holiday time, to speak in the I language, in the first person, not in the second you person or third person.
Yeah,
very-
100%,
very
100%.
powerful.
I can say that I'm still learning that one.
It's
Very-
hard.
Yeah,
It's
it
very
is.
challenging.
Well, thank you. That's right. That's really, that helps us. I think that will sit with me for a while. You got to stay in that, how does it make me feel instead of lashing out and blaming. So that's great.
Any comments on Facebook, or they're pretty mute over there?
Let me add to the I, rather than you're in denial, I would say I disagree.
Okay, I disagree. Okay,
yeah.
what's interesting is we're doing a book discussion with the non-violent communication book. And in there, he says, he gives examples. And then after the example, he says, we are in agreement if you answered, let's say, A. We are in disagreement if you answered B. So it's very interesting how he, to the reader,
Yeah.
says we are in agreement or we are in disagreement. It's very interesting.
It's not bad or wrong. It's just
Right.
either this is agreement or
Right,
disagreement.
right. Very interesting. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a bunch of hearts and thumbs up, and from Karen Chiavarini, who I don't know, and
Yes.
a big amen.
Okay, very good. Yeah, she's a family friend. And I think she watches TAO also. She's my mother's friend for a long time. And we introduced her to TAO a long time ago. So that's very nice. So, okay, well, if there's no more comments or questions, we'll go to our next slide. We always have to make sure that we, oops, hang on. We always have to do our quotes. Very, very important.
Yes.
So feel free to say them with us if you like. All right, so go ahead,
Well,
Tom.
yeah, I like the phrase reveal to heal. It's like awareness, right? So we want to keep looking, and what we resist persists, and when we know better, we do better.
And my quote is, when you know and understand yourself, the world will know and understand you too. And remember, what's the best that can happen? And so, definitely wishing everyone a happy holiday. And, just stay focused on your heart-mind connection. And,
Remember to touch your, but when you're not there, just make sure you're tapping or
yes,
touching.
just tap yourself a
to
lot.
bring that
All
awareness
over the
back.
place. Just
Well,
touch yourself
especially
everywhere.
in the heart. You can touch yourself everywhere, but you'll want to stay present in the heart.
I think if you just go like this, whoever's ruffling your feathers will be like, okay, this is too much for me. And they'll just walk away, and then you don't have to deal with them. I think I'm gonna use that as an EQ tool moving forward. So, all right, guys, thank you so much.
Nice. Happy holidays,
All the
everybody.
best, everybody. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.